Hi everybody, listen, if you want to do us all a favour, yourself included, head on over to the Sly Guy Podcast Patreon, which is very simply www.patreon.com/Sly Guy Podcast, where it just everyone's going there. They're like ducks, they're just migrating over there to see the juicy bonus content, the guest podcast, which now comes out every Friday. This Friday we have Aaron Butler featuring the podcast, one of the most popular guests we've had on the actual Sly, well, one of the only two guests we've actually ever had in the Sly Guy podcast, but that doesn't matter, people love it. And then there's some old episodes as well. We've got Andrew Smith from Great British Bake Off, we have William Thompson, my little friend, and we have Rhys McClenaghan, the Irish Olympic gymnast. So I mean, there's some fun guests over there, and I tell you something for nothing, there's some even more fun guests coming pretty soon. So get on over to patreon.com. For just £2 a month you get a bonus video and audio guest podcast every Friday, as well as bonus podcast series, like Dog Walks with Davey, which is just me chatting when I'm walking my dog. You also get the weekly audio only extra Sly Guy podcast. On top of that, you're going to get other things like stand-up clips, other bits and bobs, vlogs, loading, and other content. Just go over there and see. Don't let me tell you, go over there and have a look. www.patreon.com/Sly Guy Podcast. The Sly Guy Podcast is brought to you from day one in association with Modest Beer. Modest are a little independent brewery crafting small batch beers for discerning drinkers. We've been chatting about this from Pussy Was a Kitten. I know you guys love it. I love it, you love it. Modest Beer, just like me, a modest guy, the king of North Down, the king of the mountain, the number one champion, the Lord and Saviour. Modest guy too. If you want to know more about Modest Beer, head on over to their website www.modestbeer.co.uk, or just check them out on social media at Modest Beer. You get them there on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Check out Modest Beer. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Another thing I would recommend is that seamless segue into the fact that I am playing my second solo show at the Ulster Hall on the 10th of September 2022. Bits and pieces. It'll be a brand new hour stand-up comedy there for you. Tickets are on sale now at ticketmaster.com or through the Ulster Hall website. And if you follow me on any social media, if it's on Instagram at the Avelia Comedy, if it's on Twitter at the Avelia, because the Avelia Comedy is too long to get on the, it's an awkward and does my head in, but that's the best place to find it. Or on Facebook at my Facebook page at the Avelia Comedy. Go over there. The links to the show are all there. Get your tickets. Let's go. Let's have a fun time. We're allowed out and about again. Happy days. Now, enjoy the podcast.
I'm the Sly Guy.
Hello and welcome to the Sly Guy Podcast. This week is a good week. I'm feeling good. Hopefully you're feeling good. The government have just come out and said, listen, fuck it, we're sick of COVID. Everyone's got it. You know, everyone's got it. It's like one of those things, you know, when they're just like, you know what, fuck it, may as well. That's what the government have said. Just fuck it, may as well. Just lift all the restrictions, let everybody out. Some people are going to go, oh no, I'm a bit scared about this. Other people are like, it's a lot of bullet balls anyway. You know, a lot of people are just glad they get out. I, for one, I'm happy because, as you well know, this is kind of my job now. I need to get out and do gigs. Need to get out and do stand-up. Need to be able to pay for my kids. To like, I don't know what the eat, I suppose. I'm gonna say my kids to go to the nightclub, but I mean they're 4 and 1. That'd be quite stupid. But anyway, let's get out. Let's go to gigs. See if you feel comfortable. Get out there. If you're still a bit weird, you know, if you're still a bit like, oh no, then just you can still stay in your. That's the thing. Here's the thing, people, and this might sound like a total epiphany to some people. You don't have to do what you don't want. See if you want to go out to watch things, go to shows, go to nightclubs, go and see if you don't. Hey, stay in your house, stay in the gaff. That's cool as well. I know a lot of people have done augmentation to their house. They've done lots of work. They've made their house almost like, you know, like a lot of man caves. A lot of dudes did that during COVID. They were like, listen, that shed, it's got my lawnmower in it. Fuck it, it's now a bar. You know, women are like, you know, who gives it? Like, what am I going to do during this? I know swimming pool in the conservatory. A lot of people amend their house during the lockdown, and it's better to stay. You can do stuff there. I, for one, bought an exercise bike. Have I been on it much in the last while? No. Have I got fatter than ever? Yes. But that's also a byproduct of lockdown. So get off my back and if you want, get out there. And then here's the thing too. We message to people when you're out there. Be sound. How about that as a message to just spread out? See, when you're out there, I guarantee some people will feel a little bit weird being back to what we used to be, chatting to people. Some people mightn't want you in their face, speaking to them. Maybe that's because they might think you're dirty and have COVID. Maybe that's because they just don't like your breath. Either way, you need to be ready for it. But let's get out. Let's try and revive the scene, whatever that means. I'm too old. I shouldn't be saying that. In the last 2 years, I've just become old. Like, I think before lockdown, I could have gone to a bar with my friends, maybe even to a nightclub. Probably not, but to a bar, to a swanky bar. Now I just go to old man pubs that sell good Guinness, sit in the corner and just look at people angrily. Be like, is there anything I can do for you? But let's just go out and respect people, whether they want it or not. And if you want to still wear a mask, don't slap at people for wanting to wear a mask. That's fine. It's all good. I'm just happy to be doing gigs again. I'm happy to be getting out. This week, Pug Ugly's Comedy Club is back. I cannot wait for that. What a lineup. I would be boasting. I would say boasting, promoting. It's what I meant to say, not boasting. But it's already sold out, which is unfortunate if you wanted to go. Not unfortunate because it's great to be back and be sold out. But that's going to be coming back fortnightly. I'm excited about that. I'm just excited about gigging, generally speaking. I think all these gigs have been rescheduled and they're in my diary. And that's one thing that I've started to do a lot since going full time, is using my diary, and there's stuff in that baby every day, and it's great. I'm enjoying it. I'm just looking forward to getting back to gigs. I hope you guys will as well. Another thing I just want to point out too, a lot of people still losing their mind about the Tories being dickheads, being scumbags. Oh, what a shocker. I said last week, whoa, on the way up in the car, I had the radio on, and for some reason they were like, oh, by the way, not only did they have the garden party at number 10, they also, during the first lockdown, had a wee bit of a soiree for Boris Johnson's birthday. And people are again going, can the bastards get any lower? I'm like, well, duh, probably. They're politicians. People need to be less annoyed at politicians for being scummy, because, hey, they're high level politicians. That's what got them to the race. That's what got them there, was being a scummer. So we need to be less worried about that. It's kind of like someone being like, oh my god, I was in a wee fishing, I was in my fishing boat in Lough Erne. I was in a fishing boat in Lough Erne, and I looked over the side of the boat and I saw a big great white shark, and it came up and it looked friendly because it was all wet and a big smile, and the teeth, they didn't look too, they just looked like, the teeth didn't look that sharp. They actually looked like, before you put the veneers on when you go to Turkey and they shave your teeth down. They didn't look that sharp. I thought, it looks like a friendly great white shark. Let me just not stroke it. Let me finger its mouth. Let me just go, you love that, you great white, and then boom, the arm goes. That's like someone going, oh fuck, I was just fingering its mouth and it bit my arm off. It's also like seeing, it's also seeing like a leathered bald man in good muscular shape in his 40s. With a few tattoos in his forearms, let's just say, working in an ice cream van. And when you go up to be like, hey mate, could I have a wee poke? Give me a poke, a 99 and a screwball. And he's like, sorry bro, just sell cat here. And you're like, what? Hey, that's what happens. Let's just get over it. Let's just be happy something's returning to normal. And then let's see what's next. What could be next? Who knows? Who knows? But let's get out and enjoy it while we can. And I would really, really recommend, just during this period of time, just buying tickets to any show that I'm doing. Come and see me wherever you can, because all I'm saying is money's nice to have, and hey, I'm looking to get it. There you go. So if I'm doing any gigs, hey, come and see me. Take your money in your pocket. I'll tell you what, I'd like to go see. And then what some people, this is a weird thing, like, people listen to the podcast, right? I know a lot of people listen. It's more of an audio podcast. That's in terms of the figures, that's what we see. Much more people listen, which is fine, because again, I don't know what people. I'm not a watcher of podcasts. I'm a listener. I listen to podcasts and I enjoy it on the go, whatever. But a lot of people like to listen to podcasts. So in this particular moment, just listen and go. If you're falling asleep listening to the podcast, just close your eyes and let this get into your subconscious. Buy tickets to see Dave. Because when people go, maybe they see me on the podcast and they come to my stand-up, this is a response I get quite a lot, going, you're actually very funny. And I'm like, hey, pretty much. Podcasts are different because you're on, you're chatting. For me, it's a bit of a new experience. I had to take a wee bit of a break from this solo podcast, because I've been doing so many guest podcasts. I can't even say podcast anymore. I've been doing so many guest podcasts over on Patreon that it's like two different skills. Being able to come by myself in front of a camera. To be fair, a lot of experience in that. But to be able to come and do the solo podcast is a bit strange, but it's a different skill to stand up. So what I'm saying is, experience me in your ears, experience me with your eyes, and maybe, if you're lucky enough, experience me with your taste. Didn't think that would last one through, but it is what it is. Welcome anyway to the podcast. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling I want to say today was a bit touch and go in terms of actually getting in to record this week's podcast. I was nearly putting it off. I was nearly saying to producer Ben, no, tomorrow can we do? And he was like, why? And the reason was I was recording a guest episode today with Psychic Glenn. For anyone that doesn't know Psychic Glenn, he is a psychic. He wouldn't say medium. He got a wee bit sort of pissed off when I said a medium, but he's a psychic. Called Glenn. There you go. But, you know, the snake rat just calls a spade a spade. He's a psychic and his name's Glenn. Yes, but he's a guy from Belfast who is, you know, I'll tell you what, his Facebook page and now he told me TikTok because Facebook keep cancelling him and blocking his videos, and he says fuck them. He actually looked into the lens and he goes, Mark Zuckerberg, more like Mark Fuckerberg, and he meant it. And he did that both down the lens and also into the atmosphere. So Zuckerberg, you're Fuckerberg. But he was great. He was a great guest. A lot of fun. Sort of following on a bit from last week's question, I think Chrissy asked. He said he gave me the quote conundrum. Would I rather know when I'll die or what I'll die of? And that's just stuck with me for an entire week. My mind's been boggled. I've been going, I don't know, and I still don't know the answer. I asked Psychic Glenn, am I going to die soon? And he went, no. And he told me I was going to live to see both my daughters get married, and that's all I want. That's what I'm going to do. When whichever one of my daughters gets married second, I'm going to kill myself at the ceremony. I'm going to go there and I'm going to be like, I've done what I need to do. My job's done. And just, I don't know what that was I stab myself with. That's what I'd probably do. Just stab myself with the ceremonial cake cut knife. And get out of here. But yeah, I'm feeling buoyed after that. However, after recording that episode, I had a headache. I was exhausted. It took a lot out of me. A lot of serious questions I was asking Psychic Glenn, trying to get to the root. I mean, the root was actually what we spoke about, root chakra. You know, sounds like some. I was gonna say sounds like cricket. Sounds like a pretty weird. I said like his root chakra or something. He goes, that's from your root. And I was like, once again, the eyes are rolling in my head and I was transported to the Twilight Zone. But it was a heavy duty episode, and you know what? He is potentially one of the most entertaining characters I have spoken to, and I hope people, a couple of weeks from now, his episode will go live. But we have been speaking afterwards and there's still so much we need to go over, and he's definitely going to come back. Ben, get yourself on the mic there. I need to ask you a question. You didn't produce the episode with Psychic Glenn. Do you feel, I guess, as a degree of FOMO about that? Do you have a fear of missing out on not being on that record?
Yes, because it would have been handy to know about my life.
Well, basically, I don't want to give too much away because the episode's going to be pretty good. But as well as telling me I was going to live to see my kids, he told me I was going to be very wealthy, which I loved. And I asked him why, and he said, because I've got 2 girls and they'll look after you. And I enjoyed that. I was like, I like that a lot. Then he also said to me, but by the end of this, he was genuine with us. He looked at me and he goes, but just watch out for sugar. And I was like, I'm not going on The Apprentice anytime soon. Wait, worst joke ever. I'm a dad, forgive me. But he was like, no sugar. He goes, you'll start feeling some pains in your feet. And I was like, are you saying I'm going to get diabetes? And he basically went, yes, but I'm not going to nish. I'm going to stop. No more sugar for Big Papa Bear. I'm done. And yeah, I'm going to just try to be healthier again. As I'm sitting here today, I'm on 14,003 steps. Oh, that's decent for a day, Ben, isn't it? There you go. Been walking my dog a bit, and I'm just feeling good. I had to take the time away from being inside my head. I came home from the podcast record and I had a Zoom meeting with somebody about gigs. You know, because I'm actually a juror. No, why am I making these terrible jokes today? Because I'm actually a juror in the Ryan Giggs abuse case. No, just about where I want to gig and stuff, and opportunities to go places and do things. And my whole head, I was still like sitting on that Zoom meeting like this, because my mind was just totally boogaloo. I mean, see, this is the thing. He's been in this. He's been in this room. And he smited me for giving away too much about the episode. But we spoke about a load of fun things. Spoke about the Ouija boards. Spoke about spirits. Spoke about mental health, physical health, psycho, and whatever the wee spirits are. But it was very interesting. I had a lot of fun, and I actually got to the point where we had to end the episode. And I got to get him back. And are you excited to see it? You know, you're not even doing the edit on it. But would you like me to send you the link to it, Ben, so you can watch it?
That would be very, very helpful, yeah.
Yeah, I'll get that over to you. And maybe you yourself can, you know, learn something, because I certainly did. And I enjoyed it a lot. And I think Psychic Glenn is a character that he should be doing more. He should be on the telly, because he is entertaining and he is a lot of fun. So that was great crack. And this week's podcast episode is Aaron Butler, you know, who co-produced that episode. So, you know, it was a lot of fun. Check that out as well. And yeah, Patreon's doing good. We're enjoying it over there. People want the guest episodes. I was being stubborn, but now I'm giving it you, and I'm enjoying doing it. So thank you to everyone that said do a guest podcast. And hey, that's what you get. You get the guests, you give it you, and that's it. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I was going to talk about Dog Walks with Davey as well on Patreon, which has been fun the last couple of records, but I feel bad talking about him now, because we got the news that basically the boy's a top shagger. He's shagging everybody in daycare. And you know, if that's just when you've tuned in this episode, say you're like, just someone's listening to this in their speakers and their partner walks in the room, he goes, oh, he's shagging everybody in daycare. That could be a lot of things. Like, a lot of different people go to daycare. Mostly children go to daycare. Also old people go to daycare. And also people who maybe aren't entirely with it go to daycare. I just want to point out, it's my dog goes to daycare. Apparently he couldn't play properly. Well, this is maybe the thing. Once he took the daycare, we're like, we can't get photos for him for social media, because his dick's always out, and it's weird to just put a picture of the big Walt on the Facebook. You might get it cancelled. I'd be like, just say it's a carrot. It's a really red carrot, you know, just a really long red carrot. And they're like, that's not gonna fly. And I was like, all right. So we were in touch with the vet, and the vet was like, now's the time to get his balls off. And I was hoping not to get his balls off until he was like 2 or something, so as he could be fully, like, you know, jacked. Like, and again, if you walk in, be like, don't want to cut their balls off until they're 2. That could also be children, but it's not. It's a dog, because dogs are fucking fully grown and jacked and all when they're 2, whereas he's still kind of a pup. Huge, but a pup. Nonetheless, so I wanted to wait until all that testosterone filled up his body and his bones and he was fucking jacked and all, and then I could get his balls off. But apparently I don't know as much about dogs' balls as a vet, and the vet were like, get the balls off. I was around at Ben's house during the week there to just basically talk, just hang out. Just around his house, just hanging out, and I found out about your dog's balls, Ben. How old is your dog now? Like, what age is your dog?
8.
8? Yep. And how old was he when you got his balls cut off?
I didn't take any sort of record of it, so I'm not entirely sure, but he was young enough. Roughly, would he been 1, 2, when? Probably around 1ish. 1ish? He got them off as pretty much as soon as possible. Right, and how was he about that? Did he look at you like, what the fuck are you done to me? He didn't look at me. He wouldn't? On the drive home from the vets, he sat with his back to me the whole way home. Yeah, and what is your dog? He's like, he's a wee... I just want to say, he does look to me, and again, he looks a bit Spanish. Yes. Yeah, is he Spanish? Well, Mexican. He's a Chihuahua and a pug. A Chihuahua and a pug? So he's kind of a Mexican-Chinese dog. Are pugs Chinese? Yep.
Nice. Because my old dog, Mr. Charlie, R.I.P., was a Shih Tzu who was Chinese, and he was the only, that's who taught me Mandarin. So it does. What's your name of your dog? Chili. I mean, Chili is, I suppose it is a Mexican/Chinese name, because of course they love chilies in Mexico. Put a lot of those babies into tacos and things, and of course in China they love their salted chili chicken. Correct. So is that why you went for the best of both worlds?
Yeah, we just decided.
I would have called him Roberto Wang. It's the name I would have given him as a Mexican Chinese guy. I would say, you're Roberto Wang. That's your name, Mister Mexican
I would love
Chinese.
to call that out of a dog park though.
Yeah.
Would you go full name or just?
Roberto Wang, yeah, because then you don't want to take any of his heritage away from him. Yeah, I mean, it'd be weird if you're running around a dog park shouting Wang. Like, it'd be pretty Wang.
I've lost my Wang.
Yeah, I've lost my. Has anyone seen my Wang? And they're like, no, please. Where's my Wang? I need my Wang. And then they're like, how do you get your Wang back? You whistle at it. Oh no, it's
my Wang came off its lead.
Yeah. My Wang's off my lead. Yeah, I mean, each their own, but that would definitely be a sight to behold. And I would say you probably end up in a PSNI holding cell if you're running about a park looking for your Wang. I mean,
you can start to see why we didn't go with that name.
Yeah,
really.
Mr. Wang would be a pretty sweet name for a dog. And I would have to come, because that's another thing. My aunt, also rest in peace, she had a dog. It's quite a sad story actually, because my aunt, God love her, got a wee pup, and then she was diagnosed with cancer and passed away probably about a year or so after she got the dog. But the nice side of that is that the dog now is living with my other aunt, and she sort of adopted it, and it's had a really good life, and I think that's a real nice story. Unfortunately now the dog's pretty much going to be close to being put down. She's really old, so that's probably the sad end of the story, but the actual sentiment there is pretty nice. It's a pretty nice sentiment. But my aunt, again, I should probably come down whenever I'm asleep tonight from heaven and be like, why'd you tell people this? You fucking scundered me. I'm dead. I can't defend myself. What are you doing? But she got the dog and decided it would be a nice name to call her dog would be Baby. So she thought, I love this dog, I'm going to call it Baby. Now when she told me she called the dog Baby, I went, what? Why? It's fucking weird. Why have you? And she's like, no, I think it's my wee baby. I'm gonna, and I thought, it's fair enough. She lives by herself. That's it, her wee baby. Okay, then Baby had to go to the vet to get her, I don't know, minge looked at or whatever. Female dogs get looked at in the vet, who knows? It's always the dicks or the minges, aren't it, when you go to the vet? You never go to the vet to be like, oh, I've an ingrown toenail. Nah, I've just a foaming minge, or my balls need cut off, that's kind of all you go to the vet for. And then the odd time they're boking again, and then what probably happens is they boke and they sit in it, and then they get an infection in their minge, and then bam, back again. But she went in and she was sitting in the waiting area, and the vet came out and was like, Baby McClung, because hey, that was my aunt's surname. Luckily it was a married name, not a legit birth name, because but why would you change your name to that? But then she was so embarrassed, she'd be like, it's actually Lady, her name's Lady, you've got it wrong. And she's like, oh, that's and when someone mugs you off so hard, you're like, oh, it's actually Lady. And then the vet's like, what? Says Baby on this, and she's like, oh no, it's Lady. And then the vet's like, hold on, let me just go to her file. No, she's registered as, it's definitely Baby. And she's like, no, it's Lady. It's like, well, it's actually the chip says Baby. All her files and all, you've signed it, you've said, there's a bit of paper says, I am sure this dog's called Baby. And he's like, yeah, fuck. So then after that she had to deed poll it, change the dog's name to Lady, and that was pretty awful. So what I'm thinking you can do now, Ben, is just get straight down, go down to Bangor Castle, get your forms, be like, listen, Chili's no longer Chili, it's Roberto Wang, and that is the name of my Mexican Chinese dog. And by the way, anytime I see your dog from now on, I'm going to be like, Mr. Wang, so be Roberto Wang going forward.
I'm not going to pass it on to my wife at all.
No.
So whenever you arrive, start calling the dog
Roberto Wang.
And there's going to be zero context.
Give her nothing, just total blank face. Yes, is what it is. Roberto Wang just doing his thing. Roberto Wang doing his thing. Is what it is. And to be fair now, again, is this sort of, I mean, the fact that I'm actually saying, is this walking the line of being racist or not, sort of kind of would indicate potentially, I'm going to say Roberto Wang does look more Mexican than he does look Chinese now, and the reason why that is he looks more like a Chihuahua than a pug. He's got like, I would say, has almost a pug's physique, but the mush of a Chihuahua. Whereas I would quite like to see a dog with a pug's face and the body of a Chihuahua. Just this tiny, google-eyed, like, freak. This alien dog would be quite, that lives in your handbag. I mean, that would be quite impressive. You know, and then what would you call it if it was the other way around? If it's Roberto Wang is the Mexican Chinese, what do you call it if it's a Chinese Mexican? You know? Like, Ding Martinez or something? Who knows? Or else Wang Roberto, you know, you just switch it around. Whoa. What are you doing? You're over there on your phone, are you looking up something? Oh no, what's he gonna do? Oh no, he looks very smug here for anyone listening to the audio.
I'm just trying to find the other way around for the dog, but
oh no, does it exist? Oh no, you look very confident with it. Hold on. I'm gonna go and look up. I'm just gonna type in Roberto Wang and see what I get.
Definitely.
Oh, why? Roberto Wang is a New York sales operative from Barclays. Do you want to view Roberto Wang? I mean, do I want to view Roberto Wang's profile on LinkedIn? Absolutely do. Let's see. Oh no, I have to join LinkedIn to do that, which is weird because years ago I did. Whenever, let me see. Oh, Roberto Wang's on Instagram. 15 followers. Consider it 16. Oh no. Roberto Wang's doesn't have a proper face. Roberto Wang is a like anime character. Don't like that. Stupid. I'll tell you where I'll get it. Roberto Wang on Facebook. Facebook's always got real faces. Allow cookies. Allow all the cookies. I tell you what, Roberto Wang's a gangster. Roberto Wang looks like, I mean, I was saying a gangster. Roberto Wang builds PCs. So, do you know the other name? Other people named Roberto, just Robert Wang, Jose Wang, Robbie Wang. Nice. Bobby Wang, which by the way, just, you know, sounds tremendous. So there you go. Ben, what a weird segue we went into there and somehow ended up down that rabbit hole. Who would have thought it? We've been talking about Roberto Wang. How long have we been talking for anyway? I feel like I've been chatting about Roberto Wang way too long. Half an hour about Roberto Wang. Where would you get it? Let me just see. What's going on in the world of questions? Oh, why? Lots of questions tonight. There we go. What could do we need? Is there anything else we need to talk about before I go on to questions? Nah, I was going to talk about Afterlife, but he then gave off about me. It's like, I haven't watched it yet. And I was like, well, probably watch it. Just let me ask you one question, Ben. Did you like series 1 and 2?
Very much so.
Don't ask me what I rate series 3 out of 10.
Would you rate series 3 out of 10?
4.
How would you rate 1 and 2?
1, 8, 2, 9, 3, 4. That's just my opinion. See, I feel like, see if I'm watching it, like I take a step back. This is going to sound so wanky. If you watch it and you take a step back and you're just watching it, alright. But see when you're watching it with like a writing head on, and you're like, how would you write that? I feel like series 1 and 2 kind of rounded the arc, and I feel like 3 was a series that they were like, we're raking in dough here, make a third series. And he's like, alright mate. And that's how I feel about it. You know, can I give you some spoilers that are not spoilers? Who was your favourite character in series 2? Do you have one?
Are we really boring and go for the dog?
The dog. Well, the dog's in the third series. 2 of my favourite characters were not in the third series. The Roxy, you know, his friend who's a prostitute, not in the third series. Referenced in it, but not in it. So That annoyed me. And then his psychiatrist was not in the third series. But you know who is in the third series? Ratty and the Nonce. So there's you know, Ratty and the Nonce aren't even, like, they were hilarious. I thought the first time you came across them, they're just in the third series, I think, to be annoying, you know. So I didn't like that as much, and that's just my overall thought. And I didn't like Tony. I felt Tony had come a good circle in the first two, and the third one I was like, oh, he's kind of back to square one again at the start. And then it's a bit like, as Dad's obviously not in the third series either because he died, you know. So that was just my opinion on it. Still, Ricky Gervais is my favourite guy, and you know, I love him either way. I'm sure he doesn't give a fuck, because here's the thing, see, some people having opinions, it doesn't matter, you know. I still loved Afterlife as a series, as a overall entity, loved it. And you know, Ricky Gervais probably doesn't give a fuck what I think about it, because what do I know? But that was it. And yeah, well, shall we go into these questions, Ben? If it's a little bit shorter this week, so be it, because I have to get milk. You know, I have to go home and I have to get milk on the way home, and I have to do other stuff in the gaff, and I have to chase up invoices as well, which is a fucking boring task. I just prefer when I got paid at the end of every month. Whereas when you get invoice, be like, listen, I know you've done the job, we will pay you when 7 months from now. Alright, that's not ideal, but that's the world we're in. And speaking of the world we're in, if you like podcasts, I'm going on the General Banter podcast next Monday. We'll call and get us. So check out that too if you want. But here's the thing too. See if you don't. Free country, free world, do what you like. The dog's getting his balls cut off. Ben's culturally appropriated 2 different cultures and put it into a little furry creature that lives in his house. And he's also got a Mexican Chinese dog. Right, let's get into the questions. You know what's weird? Now I see that I've moved the sponsors and stuff to the start. I get to this point and be like, on the podcast brought to you, it's like, I don't have to do another sponsor read. There you go. Let's see. Patrick Quinn has said, Patrick, thank you. He said, hi Dave, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to congratulate you on the continued success of the big shows. It's genuinely fantastic to see, and I hope you have many more to come. Still loving the podcast. Thank you. There you go, Patrick. Thank you very much for saying that. You know what? Here's a wee saying now. I would say this would be the name of this week's podcast. It's nice to be nice, but 100% this week's podcast is called Roberto Wang, and there's no getting away from that. So there's no point in us even trying to suggest we're doing anything different. But yeah, thank you for saying that. Nice to be nice, and I appreciate that. And hopefully you will continue to support the podcast by listening, because all I want your ears. On speaking, actually, fuck, I meant to bring this up. Rating and reviewing the podcast is really important. But see, when you rate and review the podcast, don't give it a really good review and then give it 1 star. What I went on the other day and was like, why is my rating down to 4.9? And Decky Flynn, I'm sorry to call you out by name here, but Decky Flynn wrote this. His wee title's Top Stuff. It said, top stuff. The King of North Down always brings a great podcast to the table. Unlike lots of other podcasters relying on weekly interviews and guests as a crutch, Papa Bear cranks out great solo stuff. Dave always shoots from the hip, bringing everyday emotion to the table, providing a voice for all guys with small dicks that love their family. And then 1 star. Don't give me 1 star, Decky. Get on and give me... If you're listening, Decky, I'm speaking to you. Go back on and say you made a boo-boo, and I'll give it the 5, please, because it affects my whole fucking overall average here. But speaking of which, this ties in nicely to this. McPhee has said, love a good rant, and you just got one there because Decky's mugged me. Should have rated this 5 stars ages ago. Better late than never. Keep it up, Davey lad. Appreciate that, McPhee. Cheers. And you know what? Again, like I said, I appreciate all the listens, all the people that are listening every week. I mean, I would prefer if people watched it on YouTube, but that's what we have to work towards. That's the goal. And we're putting the guest ones out on the Patreon as well. And if you're interested in that, thank you. But on side note, see if you do listen to the podcast. If you listen to it into your ears and you're putting it on on your phone and all, screenshot the fact you're listening, stick it on the Instagram stories, show me you're listening, and that way I can share it out, and then other people can see they're listening, and then people might be like, oh, what's this? What is this you're listening to? Oh, it's Dave Elliott's Sly Guy Podcast. Nice. And you check that out. It's not the name of the podcast, is it? No, it's just called Sly Guy Podcast, not Dave Elliott's Sly Guy Podcast. Don't even my name in it's weird. But yeah, listen to that. Where do you get it? Oh, I get it on Apple Podcasts, or get it on Spotify or SoundCloud, or wherever you get your podcasts, really. Oh yeah, and also you can check out on YouTube where you can subscribe. So if you watch the podcast on YouTube, but you should just subscribe rather than, a lot of people comment every week on the video podcast, but then they don't subscribe. A lot of people are very positive, and I really appreciate that. Then there's a couple of really odd, anonymous, sort of wanker guys who comment, but then they don't subscribe, so it's weird. Yeah, but you can get it there too if you want. Yeah, sweet. You do that, YouTube, and just check it out on Apple Podcasts. And yeah, and Decky, give it 5. Don't write a really great review and give it 5. Yeah, is it like it whenever your teacher's school reports Dave is an attentive, intelligent, hard-working child. He is really showing great promise and grasp of English literature. He is one of my star pupils. I can't get enough of him. I love teaching Dave Elliott. Grade D. What? Sorted. Anyway, next question. Dean McAllister wants me to rant on bad manners. Dean, ask me about that next week, because I feel like I've given too much this week. I don't have the energy. I've spoken to Psychic Glenn. He's sucked the energy out of me. It's gone. I don't have any more to give, Dean, so ask again next week. Paul Doherty has bizarrely predicted, to an extent, the future by asking the strangest or funniest name for a Chinese restaurant. Seen a Chinese in Moneymore that was just called Calories, which I like that. But probably there's a Chinese local to me which is called the Ba Wan. Have you heard of that, Ben? And you know what their wee slogan was for a while? Buy one, get one free. And they would just, you could have got 2 for 1 Chinese meals, and I thought that was pretty genius. Let me see, Naomi has just said well now, and then sent me a photo of, it looks like an orgy. Oh no, it's just this. It's the story. She has said, man who took uncle into Carlow post office to collect his pension didn't know he was dead. Fuck, come on, uncle, what are you doing? Do you get out of a fucking car, you bollocks? And he says, alright mate. And he's like, how does this even work? He said, I'm not an idiot to walk into Hosie's with a dead man and collect his money. Wow. A man who brought his dead uncle into a post office to collect his pension has insisted I wasn't trying to rob him. I'm not an idiot. Declan Honey said that he didn't realise Peter Doyle, 66, was dead when he and another man brought him on a 5-minute walk from his... What do you think was wrong with him? Like, how do you walk him a dead man? How do you bring a corpse on foot by 5 minutes? He said he didn't realise he was dead. Declan, he says he's lived with his uncle all his life, claimed he's now... oh, this is the best quote. He's claimed he's now the talk of a town. Oh, imagine. See fucking Declan, it's like, he's brought Peter, Teddy bred Peter down to the dole. He's being branded a murderer in the local community. But he's insisted, I'm not an idiot. Well, Declan, sorry to break it to you. You are. Like, how do you, like... Ben, have you ever seen it? I was nearly said, have you ever come across a dead body before? But I mean, you can answer that pretty darkly, and it would be awkward. But have you ever seen a dead body before? You've never seen one? Have you ever been to a funeral? And
yes, but normally the body is in a coffin.
Oh, he's very Presbyterian. Do you not go for a nosy?
I frowned upon.
I find any time I can't help myself. I go up and I have a wee look. I'm like, I think, I'll have a wee look in here. Oh shit, you don't really look yourself. But I know they're dead. I'm not like.
Not a surprise to you.
Yeah, it's not like when they're dead, they're dead. But what I do find, and this would be a very dark but also highly entertaining Instagram account. If someone had an Instagram account where they just had really shit, like, embalmments, so where people, like, they go in and be like, this is how the photo would like or look like, and then they do the makeup and it's really bad. I think that'd be pretty funny. Like, for example, whenever my granddad died, they made him look like he was a Cray twin. Now, I only knew him when he was an old grandy guy, but they dyed his hair black and all, made him look really weird. And like my granny was like, oh, why? Like, and I was like, it's weird you're getting on like that. She's like, well, he looks good, doesn't he? I'm like, well, not really, he's dead. You know, he could look better if he wasn't dead. I prefer him dead and bald than him alive and bald than him dead with jet black hair in a fucking Cray Twins suit. And she's like, well, he's gorgeous, isn't he? I'm like, nah, still dead. Pretty obvious. Even at 8 years old, I was like, this guy's not. He doesn't look good. And then my poor granny, God love her, when she died a few years later, she had got so thin that like her skin wasn't fat enough to like hold its shape. So I remember my dad was really upset. He was like, you know when you're someone's annoyed, but they're so annoyed that it's funny. My dad was given off because my granny's mouth didn't, to be fair, it didn't really look like her normal mouth, but he was going, she's going around going, she looks like a fucking Joker out of Batman, and that was before Heath Ledger. So she just meant like the actual, the Jack Nicklaus. And to be fair, they did, and it was weird also. They dyed her green and painted her face white and put the big red, but it is what it is. But fair play to Declan, coming out and saying, listen, I didn't know my grand was dead. He admits that he used to have a drug. I mean, this is now Declan. This is where the story kind of hits the skids. Declan, who admits he used to have a drug problem and served years in prison, said he's now being accused of knowingly bringing his dead uncle in to get his pension because, you trying to say because I'm a drug addict that brought my uncle's corpse in here? Is that what you're fucking trying to say? And like, well, imagine you're the person that's like working in the dole office. You're like, all right, Peter. And he's just like, it's like the movie A Weekend at Bernie's, or obviously because in Carlow it would be on Weekend-ish, O'Burnish. But it was, it's the most ridiculous story ever. People know, let's see what he sent. People know about that in the town, know that it was 15 years ago. I'm off at gear 3 years and I'm doing well. I mean, I don't know if you're doing too well, Declan. And Declan, who has a black eye and facial injuries after allegedly being attacked following the incident, revealed that he now believes his uncle was dead before he even reached the post office. Declan believes Peter may have been dead by the time he and another male got him up to the bridge. So, let me see. But the pair continued to bring him to the post office by linking arms and dragging him in there. He added, so he linked them from there. So what they're saying is, I mean, this is a brilliant line here, by the way. He said, so he linked arms and dragged him from there. This is no word of a lie. He started dragging his heels from, you see that yellow sign there, but we didn't even think it was anything. We were like, it's grand. Then all of a sudden he started going all slumpy. Now this is the line. We thought nothing of it because Peter had heart attacks all the time. Like, fucking hell, here he goes again on our heart attack. Where's my dough money? He said, we got as far as the queue. When we were holding him up, and we got the queue, we let go and he just dropped. Fucking hell, this is a guy dying. You shouldn't laugh, but my God, that's funny. Where's the dough? Why would I try and rob my uncle's money when I'm living in his house with him and we're sharing the bills, and when he dies, I get it anyway? Declan, you're a legend. I hope you get off because that's a lot of fun. But hey, what you've done there is kind of sick. Do you ever see the video on YouTube about like the rapist? I mean, it sounds like it's going down a dark path. Bear with me. Where it's like this like girl is saying like that this man tried to break into her house and rape her, and her brother comes on and he is the campus guy and he's like, well, obviously there's a rapist in Lincoln Park, he's climbing in your windows, he's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. And it's just really funny, and then it's so great they made it into a song. So I would probably, what would be useful here would be, Ben, if you just played that clip. What I'm going to do is like the Lincoln, I mean, how do I find it? I don't want to type rapist into a search engine. Let's see, and it's not Lincoln Park as in the band, it's Lincoln Park rapist. And now hopefully this gives me something, otherwise I'm being flagged. Antoine Dodson is the guy called. So let me see, I'll play this and you can just play the sound over the top.
Well, Obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here. You don't have to come and confess that you did it. We're looking for you. We gonna find you. I'm letting you know now, so you can run and tell that.
79 million views on this. Oh no, I've gone on the wrong thing. I went there, Ben, to send you the link so you can add this to the story. But you know what? I'll still do it anyway. I'll send it to you and just add that video. Just have me paused here. I'll do this, right? I'll just pause. And you can just pause that and just have that video just playing so everyone can enjoy it because it's 10 out of 10. Lincoln Park. I'll just write Antoine Dodson. I'm not actually going to write rapist because I don't want to bring you into my sort of online prison that I'm going to be put in now. But please, Ben, watch that. And see when you do, I want you to let me know what your thoughts on said matter are. I just got a notice to say that I've received a challenge to my penalty charge notice that I've basically refused to pay. I'm going to get word back in the post pretty soon, so yeah, fairly exciting. But there you go. That's kind of everything. I've answered all the questions. I don't know. I'll go across and see any more here. But yeah, it was pretty shit. Well said. Ashley Coyle has said, "Hey Dave, have you ever told a more blatant lie than this?" And she's talking about Declan again. Declan, the story in the Carlow post office. So yeah, actually, I've given it to you. And I hope you enjoy that. Bill Clinton, unfortunately, John Joe, I can't open this link. It doesn't work. You know what else doesn't work? Me past 9:30 at night. So that's the end of the podcast. Guys, hope you've had a nice week. I certainly have. I've enjoyed this podcast. I'm looking forward to doing more podcasts. I have a load of guests in this week for the guest podcast over on Patreon. There's a lot of fun episodes coming out, and there's like 3 or whatever already. There is 3, won't there be 4 by this week for you to go and watch, but on video and on audio, and you can pretty much enjoy that. So there you go, guys. Enjoy the podcasts on Patreon. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being supportive, and hey, I'll see you soon. Bye.
I'm the sly guy.